Here so you guys can see this. All right, can I start, Gary? Yeah. Okay, I want to just go first. Obviously, had an opportunity to represent a really cool cause. This was a great idea by Luke Simons on our staff, something that he had done at a previous school. And we were able to partner with Nationwide Children's Hospital, the Pediatric Cancer Unit, and this really quite unbelievable, design here by Charlie, and got a chance to meet her mom. Was it's just an honor to wear these, and we'll be wearing them, I think, for two more games. But I just don't want to miss the opportunity to mention Coaches vs. Cancer and talk about Nationwide Children's Hospital and just really again it was an honor and a blessing to be able to represent Charlie and the other kids with our shoes tonight. So now that I said that, all right, now we can go to the game. So fire away.
Well, you were playing the most prolific offensive team in the Big Ten, and it was your fourth best defensive efficiency rating of the season. What were you able to do that slowed them down to such a degree and allowed you to have a win where you could maybe exhale a little bit at times?
And feel like I could exhale. Maybe that's just because I'm used to every game being a one-possession game. But, no, listen, I think first off, just the utmost respect, for Coach McCaffrey, what he's been able to do at Iowa, and really their proven track record offensively, right? So, we were on high alert really just from the moment we started prepping for them of the pace that they play at, the weapons they have on the perimeter, Freeman on the inside. I mean, there's so many different ways they can hurt you offensively. I thought our guys did a great job, played with physicality, aggressiveness, and really connected. We knew communication was going to be critical defensively this game. And, I felt like we did a really good job communicating. And that's why we were able to, I think, especially in the first half, impact them with our defense.
When we talked to Fran, he credited, when he's talking about what your team does well, he said you guys were really connected defensively. Did you think that could be a strength of this team? And are you, not to say that you're there yet, but is that becoming something that this team can lean on a little bit as you go through the league?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're showing great improvement defensively. And, you got to remember it's a new system, new scheme for everybody. And we are showing significant growth. And so appreciate Coach saying that and noticing that, because it's something that we've been talking about and working on, every time we're together. And I do feel like, I agree, I do feel like we are getting more and more connected. You're starting to see our experience that we're gaining, really on-the-job experience we're gaining, come through with us executing better defensively.
The second half surges, both started with the Purdue second half, and this game really took control with that 18-4 run at the start of the second half and this one there. What's being said in the locker room? What do you find is being successful to come out of the locker room that way these last two games?
Well, I think you're seeing an ability from our group as a whole to make adjustments. And then, I thought I want to point out specifically Evan Mahaffey, Sean Stewart, Quez Glover. Those guys, like, we challenged them to do more, and I thought they were great in the second half. Great in the second. I mean, Evan completely flipped the script on his kind of minutes and the impact on winning. I thought he was phenomenal in the second half. I thought Sean Stewart had some big-time plays in the second half, and Quez, I liked the looks Quez got from three. I thought he managed the game well when he was in there, outside of maybe one or two maybe possessions against the press. So that's part of it. I think guys have responded to being led by our upperclassmen, and then also accepting challenges because of the standard we have for effort, toughness, playing with urgency. We hold guys to that standard, and those guys responded. So I think give them credit kind of starts there. But we've shown an ability to make adjustments when we have some time to sit down and really lock into it on the board and talk through it. I think our staff deserves a ton of credit for that, but certainly our players going out and executing and playing with the urgency necessary.
Wanted to also ask about Yvon. He's been finding a bigger role the last few games. What are you seeing from him, and what does he provide when he's out there?
Well, I think he's so consumed with just helping Ohio State win, and certainly his size and physicality helps. But he's got an ability to finish around the paint, and he rebounds well. So both offensively and defensively. But he allows it. We feel confident in him guarding one-on-one. So we want to utilize that certainly more. But, we trust him in those minutes. And I think, there's certainly an argument for him to continue to get some more. But in a game like this, we shifted to a little bit smaller lineup to kind of match what they do offensively. We felt like that would help us defensively. Some games we're going to have to shift to a little bit bigger lineup, certainly. So, those guys, like Yvon's done an unbelievable job staying ready, working hard, and getting better. And so it's no surprise to us because we see it that he's playing well when he's getting that opportunity.
You've talked about John being able to do more than just shoot. Tonight, obviously not his best shooting night, but 8 assists, I think, is a career high for him. It looks like he was kind of running things there in the second half, especially on the break. What are you seeing growth-wise from him? I know he's made some really good passes, but to have the night like tonight where he's dishing and kind of running the show.
Yeah, I love coaching John because a lot of times he already tells me what he needs to do better before I get a chance to tell him because he is really smart. And I got confidence every time he shoots that it's going in, and he's going to go on a run here at some point. I just believe it, where like we've seen him do, in the early part of the season. And I was mad at him at the end there for a couple of those he missed because I thought those were he didn't get much better looks than that. And when he and I are shooting against each other, he seems to make them. So if I need to go stand closer to him down on the sideline to maybe help him make it, I got to do that. But I just trust him with the ball in his hands. He makes great decisions. He can read the game really well. And I've been saying this. He's not a shooter. He's a complete player. Defensively, he's been really good. So I'm just really proud of his growth, and he hasn't arrived yet, right? Like he's still got room to keep growing, and he will because he works. He's got to stay in the gym like he always has his entire life. He's learning how to take care of his body, and those things that freshmen typically get a full season to learn before it's important. He's having to do it all now, and learn it on the fly. So I've just been really impressed with him.
He's on the ball, that often means Bruce is off the ball, and you've talked about some of that this year, but a guy who we've seen more on the ball throughout his career, being able to play some off the ball, what does that open up for you guys offensively?
Well, I think, Bruce is a really good shooter, and it's nice if we can create some open looks for him without him having to do it, for himself. And also, when Bruce has the ball, as kind of initiating our offense, all eyes are on him. So if we can move him around a little bit more, and I thought he did a great job attacking some closeouts when he caught the ball in the wing. Certainly, when we need to a great possession, love for the ball to be in his hands, and he did that there in the second half. But I think it allows us to give Bruce a catch with the defense not being just set staring at him. And that's important because, as good of a scorer as Bruce is, he can be even more explosive when we can create for him with other guys. I think Junie's done. I think Quez has done that, at times. And so it makes us more dynamic offensively.
After the Purdue game, we asked Devon about his wrist, and he said, it still hurts, but it is what it is. I'm going to keep playing. Then he comes out, 12 points, 8 rebounds. How crucial is it for you guys to just have Devon Royal on the floor as much as possible, even if he says, it still hurts a little bit? How crucial is he just to have out there?
It's as crucial as can be. He's Devon's really tough. I think he took advantage of the time that we had this week. He was certainly, when we went into this week, he was at the forefront of my mind of getting an opportunity to kind of gain some ground with his recovery. And he's, I know I've said this before, he just typically always finds a way to produce. you know, and I've seen him do that from the time he was a sophomore in high school. And I got great belief in him. His efficiency was really good. He's got to continue to take care of the ball better. I think that's kind of the next evolution to his game, is his decision-making there at times. But, I mean, he's worked really, really hard to become the player he is. And you're seeing a guy who can be impactful in a big way when maybe he's not even playing his best. So I think the growth that he's had, and certainly he deserves majority of the credit. But I think also, you know, our staff and the work that they put in with them, this has been a significant offseason for him. He took full advantage of it this fall, and we're seeing the results of his hard work.
Devon's turnovers after Purdue too. I think he had 14 the last 3 games combined, and today, so he has 2 of them before the first media timeout, and then no more the rest of the game, I don't think. When you talk about playing smarter, is that the biggest part of it? Was he just going a little too fast at times, or I guess what do you see with when he has those turnover issues?
Yeah, I think at times, and it's not exclusive to him, at times we get a little sped up in the paint. We have to continue to do a better job moving off the ball to give guys outlets when they do pick the ball up in the paint. But, you know, some of it, you know, and Devon, I've told him this, like some of his kind of one-handed passes and things, we've got to be a little more fundamentally sound. But, you know, 2 early turnovers and then the rest of the game took care of it. So that was a great step forward. And, you know, I think the more he can evolve as a playmaker for us, that again will make us more dynamic offensively. So he's got to continue to get better. He's working on it. And, you know, a lot of times when I look at our turnovers, when the turnover happens, I'm certainly evaluating who has the ball in their hands, but I'm also evaluating everybody else. And are we creating outlets with our movement? Or are we standing still? Are we drifting back towards half court when we should be cutting to be available? Are we using our voice, you know, to communicate we're open? So it's not all on the guy with the turnover typically. There's other, you know, sometimes it is, but it's also other times where we need to help that guy better. And so some of that Devon's been a victim of, where we haven't helped him enough. Some of it is, you know, just some passes. He's got to make some better decisions.
You subbed in Aaron after Freeman was getting his way down low early. Can you talk about his game and the trust you have in him to play physically, defensively?
Yeah, I think Aaron Bradshaw right now is playing with a ton of energy, and he's playing with passion. He's playing with toughness. Certainly his size, when we're, you know, at times when we're kind of committed to one-on-one in the post, it helps, you know, having his size in there, and he's getting better at using his athleticism and quickness to help prevent some of those post catches. So I think he is just like tonight he was so consumed with us winning, and it was contagious. You know, his energy, and you may not always see it, but on the bench he's usually talking the game and encouraging guys and rooting for guys. So I think I've been really impressed with his energy, and I think oftentimes when you lose yourself in the team like he did, you play well. It just kind of, you know, tends to work out that way. So his efficiency offensively is important for us. You know, I think that's another part we gotta mention. So I thought he played a really good game.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about a player who just skipped my mind. I'm trying to remember. But the other question I wanted to ask about Penn State, quick turnaround. They just played Iowa and lost them by a point, lost by 4 at Michigan tonight. So they've played 2 really good games in a row, haven't gotten a result. But now you guys are going there to play them. Just a quick thought, I suppose. I know you haven't studied them in depth, but they're playing pretty good despite not getting the wins.
Yeah, I think, you know, they've got a good core returning from last year where, you know, they did some really good things, and certainly Baldwin is, you know, kind of a huge part of that. I think the big fella inside has played really well this year. We're playing in their yeah. So I'm sure that'll be a great environment. But I think in this league, and they certainly fall right in that category of, you know, well coached, tough. Like, it just seems we keep going against teams well coached, tough, right, together, and we expect to get their absolute best. I think our experience coming off our last road game will be helpful in what we anticipate to be a really good environment.
Remember the player now. Micah Parish, 22 points the other day, and I think 18 here today. He really wasn't known maybe at San Diego State as being a big-time scorer, but do you feel like he's starting to add some things for you guys to take a little bit of that scoring heat off of Bruce, perhaps, to where he can be, a guy that you can lean on a little bit going forward?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've leaned on him in the second half of these couple games. I think, he's got to continue to be aggressive in the first half. But I think when we recruited Micah, part of part of what was attractive to him about coming to Ohio State was a bigger opportunity offensively, and again, new system, new teammates, right? He'd been used to kind of the same thing. We play differently than what he was used to, so I think it's understandable that there was an adjustment period. But because he's a good player, because he's got great maturity, and because he cares about winning, it's no surprise to me that we're starting to see the consistent offense that he's been showing, and he's been in the gym working extra, and so I think his production offensively is really important for us, and it makes us more explosive when he's aggressive, and his efficiency's been good, his free throws have been good, so I trust him out there, and it was easy against Purdue to go to him and call his number because he had it going. So I try not to overcomplicate it in those moments. And, when a guy gets it going like he had, you call his number again. But he's finding ways within the flow of the offense. I think he's trusting the pass more, and the ball's finding him back in good spots. So I've been really impressed with his floor game these last few games.
Bruce and Sean both talked about the tenor of practice kind of changing recently, and guys really maybe challenging each other and there's some accountability. What has been different the last however long that you've noticed that change? What are you guys getting out of practice that maybe you were still trying to get at earlier in the season?
I think those guys are exactly right. We are now shifting more towards player-led accountability and kind of player-led leadership within the flow of the game. I think it's been a big reason. Well, I know it was a big reason. I said this after the Purdue game. It was a big reason why we were able to play the way we did. Was because there's times in the game, right? Bruce has a great voice. He's been really good all year in timeouts and talking. We've talked about that. But there's times in the flow of the game where you get a score and you need to stop, and there's an opportunity to turn and communicate the urgency necessary and the connectedness and the toughness necessary. When players are communicating that requirement to each other throughout the flow of the game or in between the quick stoppages when we huddle, I think that's really, really important, and that's what we're seeing more and more of. And Bruce is leading the way. Micah's done a really good job with that, and now it's becoming more contagious. So we've had to practice it, though, Adam. I mean, there's been times where we've stopped practice to, I guess we'll say, communicate the opportunity that exists in that moment to do it. And so we're trying to be really intentional about growing in that, because I just think, the more player-led we can be in between the lines, the better we're going to be. And so those guys are right. We're stepping up in a big way in that regard.
Sean cited him specifically as a guy that maybe made an impact. What was his message to the team, and what went into calling him and asking him to maybe talk?
Yeah, you guys know how much I care about former players and how important I think they are, and I feel like a steward of this program, and including them in what we do is really important to me. So Scooney and I have been texting for a little bit about, really I just wanted to come in and talk about what he sees and the passion he has for this program, and really kind of explain what he would do in those moments, because he was such a great leader, when he put on the scarlet and gray. So we've had multiple guys come in. Clark Kellogg's been around. Michael Redd's been around. The list, dating back to really the summer is extremely long of the former J.J. Sullinger's been around. Like the former players who are stopping in practice, giving their time, their words. Aaron Kraft's been around. Will Buford. Keyshawn's been around. Like, the list is long. And I can't I can't tell you how appreciative I am of their time and just their investment in our program, because I've said this, there have been some unbelievable stretches throughout the history of the program. And those guys who were part of that, when they can come back and share their experience and pour into our guys, it's so valuable. So I guess we'll have to bring Scooney back, and he can echo that same message. All right, thanks, guys.